the motion picture competition. We're very, very delighted to have you all here. The reel-to-reel competition encourages students to create a short film or a documentary on the designated theme provided. The theme for this year's reel-to-reel competition was Life After Corona. The competition nurtures creativity, innovation, and movie making skills and use of social media to become agents of positive change. So, a very warm welcome to all of you once again. Can we have a big round of applause in the chat box or virtually?
Carry on, Suchi.
Oh, I guess I lost everyone. The screen froze.
No, we're all here.
So now I'm okay. Thank you so much. That's why it's really important virtually to let's keep encouraging each other through the chat box so we know we're all here with us virtually. Thank you so much. I'm sure the judges, the guests, the students, and the teachers are eagerly waiting to see the films. Therefore, we will not keep you waiting. But before that comes the competition guidelines and the rules. So, teams, are you ready to listen to the rules and the guidelines? I'm sure you know it, but let's announce it once more. Each team to present the short film at the national finale, that is today. Once the teams have played their short films, they will get 2 minutes to make a presentation before the judges, which will then be followed by a 3-minute question and answer with the judges. Judges, we request you to please keep in time. And moving on, it was no easy task for our judges to select few student teams, as all the teams displayed exemplary movie making skills and ideas. However, a decision had to be made. We are very happy to announce the schools which made it to the national finale. So here are the schools, everyone. Delhi Public School, Badgaon, Srinagar. Delhi Public School, Jaipur. Delhi Public School, Sector 45, Gurgaon. PSBB, KK Nagar, Chennai. PYDS Learning Academy, Dehradun. Scottish High International School, Gurugram. Springdale School, Dholakua, New Delhi. Springdale School, Pusa Road, New Delhi. Strawberry Fields High School, Chandigarh. The Sri Ram School, Aravali, Gurgaon. Congratulations to the teams and all the very best for today. We wish you all the very best. Before moving further, I would now invite Deenu ma'am to please come and announce and introduce our esteemed judges for today's competition. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shuchi. Thank you to all the teams and best of luck to the top 11. It has been no easy task for y'all considering the lockdown, the pandemic, and yet y'all have risen to the occasion, made these movies on the problem that a lot of y'all and a lot of us have been facing. And I'm sure both our judges today, Raja as well as Udit, are going to thoroughly enjoy. And I'm sure it's going to be a tough competition. So watch out, panelists. So let me begin with introducing Raja to everybody. Mr. Raja Chaudhary is a National Film Award winning documentary filmmaker and the designer of the Webby Award winning websites. He has worked in New York, he's worked in London, he's worked in Delhi, and he produces international documentary films on Indian wisdom, history, spirituality, and his films, of course, have been telecasted and shown all around the world. So we are very, very honored and privileged that we have such an international figure and a renowned award-winning figure here with us on our judging panel. Warm welcome to you, Raja, and thank you so much. Let's move to Udit. Udit has been working in the media and the entertainment industry now for several years. He comes with the experience of working in Bollywood and in the TV industry. Udit has also been a part of Hollywood feature film productions. He has been a part of Vidhu Vinod Chopra's directorial ventures. He has worked on documentaries for Discovery, History, and the National Geographic channels. Udit is foraying into the digital world these days and trying to create new realms and new areas in the digital world. So, thank you again, Udit. We are privileged and honored to have you here with us on the judging panel. And thank you so much for making the time. Over to you, Shuchi, and I think let's begin.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that warm introduction. Yes, you're right. Let us begin the ESG Youth Reel to Reel, the motion picture competition for 2020. I would like all the participating teams to please note that today's presentations will be in random order. The first one to go today is Delhi Public School, Badgam, Srinagar. The next team will be announced in the chat box as soon as the first team goes to present the film. So please keep an eye out on the chat box. Thank you. Over to you, Delhi Public School, Badgam, Srinagar.
حد صوتي باقص بدم ولمن الجم قدري تشوفهم يرسولي كي قصد عزم
कौन सा बच के कौन गया मजदूर
नहीं गया तो फिर एग्जाम शुदा गनीमत आना चाहिए
Everything seems so sad, doesn't it? Yes, it does. But wait, who are you?
I'm here to answer you.
Why is this chaos happening in the world?
This world was too busy in fulfilling their own selfish desires, not paying attention to the world they live in. Everyone was busy with their daily life while this earth was bleeding. Their prayers made no sense, but they didn't protect the land in which they resided. Then the Mother Nature retaliated so humans would know and realize the importance of certain things. No one had anticipated what lies ahead in their fate, their happiness, their interactions, their smiles. Everything was gone. Now they cannot meet their loved ones. Now they will understand their importance.
Is this a punishment from God because we didn't obey Him?
Thank you so much, Delhi Public School, for your presentation. We now invite these students to make the student presentation before the judges.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, please.
Good evening. We are from DPS Badgam, all the way from Kashmir. So I would say the idea for the short film came from the psychological fact that we observe in humans that we tend to realize the worth of things once they are gone. In Kashmiri, we say "Mardashu marith martab." So I initially came up with this concept and we amended the script as we worked on it together. Rather than taking a direct approach on how this pandemic affected our lives, we took a different path by targeting the emotions of our audience by making them realize what they lost in this pandemic. Also, it's a well known fact that we humans tend to get more attached to emotional scenarios that we can relate to. Being in Kashmir, where Sufism, mysticism, it's a big influence here, so I personally wanted to integrate into in the film. Also, because of the internet ban and the political situation, that's we really had a different perspective of of this lockdown. And also, we tried to keep it on an individual level. We tried to show the personal life of a person, so our audience can connect to it more on a personal level. Over to Afreen. Afreen, the second person.
So you, am I audible?
Yes,
So
you
you
are.
might ask, so you might ask what were the challenges faced by us? The biggest challenge that we faced was doing all this in the lockdown, as we needed shots of people not maintaining the social distancing. But we thought of a clever way around it. As all of us were into film making, we decided to go through our old shots and select the best ones out of it, which satisfied our given criteria. Also, weak internet was a very big problem, as we had to share a lot of big files, which turned out to be a very big hurdle. So we tackled it by mere patience. Also, we had to delete the last part of a script due to this pandemic. We couldn't shoot it, and we had to look for an actor who would act in our video, but no one was willing because of the pandemic. So Hanan had to persuade his cousin, although he was not good at acting, but still we had to finish our movie. So we worked with him.
Yes, the
Time
time
is
is
up.
so much
We can move
for
it
your
now to the
presentation.
judges. Judges, over to you
Over
for
to
questions.
So that last sequence where the spirit of the age is speaking, was that also your own footage, or did you take that from the internet? And
No, so basically, what we did, we were all into filmmaking from the very start. We have been in filmmaking, we have been doing documentaries in our school. So basically, we had these clips, and because of the lockdown, we couldn't go outside. So we just utilized those clips that we had took ourselves, captured ourselves.
okay, it was very nice footage. I mean, I thought the editing was very good, and the story was good. I think that you left it on a note of punishment,
Yes,
which which shows a kind of despondency in your part, right, as filmmakers, that
So we
you're
showed
not
it because
certain of the outcome and you felt that you needed to relay that. And so what do you feel was the outcome? What did that young man have hope at the end, or did he lose all hope?
yes, so basically, our script had this last part where this guy actually does something good for the nature, but because we were in a red zone and we couldn't really go outside, there was really strict restrictions, and we couldn't really shoot it, so we had to cut that because of this pandemic.
But
So
did
they,
you feel that lost you a good ending that would have made this a complete
so
film?
I feel that
Because he didn't
not
have a spiritual awakening. He didn't have a spiritual awakening, right? And
yes,
and you talked about Sufism, you talked about beautiful things.
yes.
So what was the awakening that he should have had, right? Was
Yes,
to
he
me the
should have
incompleteness
been
of the film.
more aware of the nature. But I believe not keeping the last part of the script made it a kind of a suspense, and it left it to the audience to decide what they were thinking about it. They can interpret it in their own way. So I believe that's what.
Actually, sir, I was supposed to record the first part of the movie, but because of the sir, lockdown that was imposed, because the first case of COVID was in my locality, so I couldn't really do it. So Hanan, he's not much into cinematography, so he does the editing and stuff. So
I
I
got
do
it.
the cinematography.
No,
Yes,
I
sir.
understand what happened. Udit,
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think somewhere the ending worked for me because it left me thinking as well. Like, I think it was
That
this
was
open ended kind of thing, but I would have definitely loved to see it come a complete circle, like you said. But I
yes,
understand the limitations that they would have to not, be able to shoot the complete thing. But just a couple of quick observations that I really liked is something that I'd like to tell you. I love how you've used music. I mean, it creates that sort of slowness in pace. It shows the monotony of his life and how he's stuck inside. I love the use of music. I really appreciated the use of sound effects that you have. The effects of all the stock footage that you've used from footage that's on outside on the streets, traffic sounds, sounds of the prayer. A lot of times what we do is whenever we use stock footage, we somehow don't end up using the ambient sounds. But the
Yes, sir.
ambient sounds that you've used in the entire film worked really well.
thank you, sir.
And
Yes,
I
and it
like how you
engages the
tried to
audience, sir.
I like how you try to be creative with time lapses, jump cuts, and I see how you try to make it creative. Like you tried your best, so I appreciate those
The
tools that you
first
I
use.
part would
agree.
have been more better, but
Thank you so much,
because
sir.
of the lockdown, we couldn't really shoot
I
that.
we
That was not
definitely
professional.
understand that, but I think it's a
So
great
sorry
effort.
to interrupt. Very sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
but
the time
it
is
was a
up.
good effort. Well done, guys.
Well done.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you, sir.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank you
Thank you,
Thank
so
you
sir.
much.
so much,
Thank you.
DPS Badgam. Thank you for your presentation. The next team that's coming up to present the film is PYDS Learning Academy, Dehradun. Over to you, PYDS Learning Academy.
मम्मी टाइम हो गया भैया कहाँ है? तू एक काम कर ले, तू बर्तन धो ले, मैं उसे ढूंढ लेती हूँ। मोंटी 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 पापा मेरी क्लास। थैंक यू पापा।
Monty?
और बच्चों कैसी चल रही है पढ़ाई?
पढ़ाई तो अच्छी चल रही है, पर आपको कुछ ऑफिस का मैसेज
दिखाना जरा। ये तो पहले से ही पता था मुझे कि ऐसा कुछ होने वाला है। 14 साल दिए हैं इस नौकरी को, 14 साल, लेकिन ये 2 महीने भी हमारे साथ खड़े नहीं रह पाए।
अरे क्यों बच्चों की तरह अपने सर पे हाथ रख के बैठे हो? अब थोड़ा समय घर पे भी बिताओ, बच्चों को थोड़ा पढ़ाओ। वैसे भी उनके ऑनलाइन पढ़ाई में कुछ समझ तो आ नहीं रही है। और हाँ, रात के बर्तन की जिम्मेदारी है तुम्हारी। अरे तुम सर अपने आर्ट रूम में जाओ, कुछ नया बनाओ। वैसे भी इतने दिनों से तुमने कुछ नया बनाया भी नहीं है। भाई आपको नहीं लगता हमें पापा की हेल्प करनी चाहिए? वैसे भी फोन भी टूट गया और हम दोनों की फीस भी ड्यू है।
आइडिया
क्या?
अभी तो जा रहा हूँ मैं खेलने, बाद में आके सोचता हूँ। क्यों ना पापा का ये हिडन टैलेंट दुनिया के सामने लाया जाए। कैसा है आइडिया?
बढ़िया है, मैं तुझे ढल्ला समझती थी।
Thank you very much. I request the students of PYDS Learning Academy Dehradun to be ready for their student presentation. I also request our esteemed judges to please restrict the question answer time to Q&A, and we can have a special allocation of time for the feedback at the end. Thank you so much. Over to you, PYDS.
And can we start?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. I am Umanullah from PYDS Learning Academy, and we all are here to our movie. I was heading the editing part of the movie. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shaurya Pundir of PYDS Learning Academy, and I was the casting director of the movie.
Good afternoon, everyone. PYDS Learning Academy, and I was handling the camera.
So while brainstorming, we came across many examples of people in our locality who just lost jobs due to this pandemic. So considering unemployment as the main problem of this lockdown, we decided to draft a movie on one such example of a person who has lost job and how he managed to survive in this difficult situation. So we took ideas from what was trending on news channels and just got started.
So we divided the work among ourselves. For example, who will be writing the story based on the ideas given from everyone, and who will be finding locations to shoot. And although we had divided the task among ourselves, but we had an equal involvement in every task.
We had to face many problems, like we have limited location to shoot, and all the shots of the movie were shot in the school campus only. We did not high-end cars. We had limited access to required accessories. Due to lockdown, it seemed impossible to collect character on the set, but somehow we managed.
So where there is a will, there is a way. We want to leave this message that we should have a power to face difficult situations in our life, and we should believe in ourselves to stand and touch the height of success in the worst situations.
So at last, we want to make our people that we have to live with this virus, and there isn't a way to neglect this. So at last, I just want to say that महामारी एक रुकावट है, अंत नहीं. धन्यवाद.
धन्यवाद.
Thank you so much, students, for that presentation. Over to you, judges.
Yeah. Raja, please, would you like to start?
No, Udit, please, you go ahead.
I really like how they've picked up like an idea. I really like how you picked up an idea from around you. You know, that tells me that you guys are observing the effects of the pandemic, and losing jobs is one of the biggest problems that many people around us have faced. And I like how you've picked that up and sort of built an idea around it. And it's a hopeful story. I like that there's hope in your story and there's a positive message in your story. So I like the overall concept. Quickly coming to small nitty-gritties, the editing part, I think there was excessive use of dissolves in the shots. So try, limiting the use of dissolves only when you're changing space and time. So if it's one situation, if it's one scenario, you can try jumping from one shot to the other by a simple cut. And, a cut, I think, is the most powerful tool of editing. So try using, limiting the use of dissolves when you, move further in your filmmaking journey. And Raja, over to you, please.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because it had a positive outcome. I thought that the cinematography, some of it was excellent, and then some of it was amateur. So there was a clash between some of those out of focus DSLR shots and things like that, and mirrorless shots, and suddenly switching to interiors that were badly lit and things like that. So that was a weakness, but otherwise I thought the story was good. The acting was okay, but the story was very good. The editing and the sound was not good, so you need to improve sound quality. And that's it from me. Otherwise, good effort.
Yeah, great effort, guys.
Thank you,
sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, PDS, for your presentation. We now move to our next team, which is PSBB KK Nagar, Chennai. So over to you, PSBB KK Nagar, Chennai.
Fingers crossed. Yes, I got in. Yeah. What? Another task. This is exhausting. Come on.
Why? What happened?
Well, the internship I applied for, I got selected.
So what's the big deal?
They want me to write an article on life after Corona.
Well, that doesn't sound tough.
That doesn't sound tough? Do you have any idea how the life after Corona is going to be? Well, I have absolutely no idea.
Well, you have to figure it out then.
How hard could it be? I'll figure it out eventually.
Thank you, reporter. Moving on to the national news. The COVID vaccine is proved to be successful, and now even self-administration of this vaccine is permitted across the country.
Kanna Anand, even if the pandemic ends, please don't touch anything or anybody you don't know. There is always a risk.
Hi. Hi, so, how are you? Fine. How about you? I am good. Did you watch it? Yes, amazing film. Typical Nolan. I didn't understand. All of us have got feet, communicate, behave. Oh, don't look at me like that. As if you're communicating all right. At least that's what you're telling me. Not if you make yourself feel better. The world is changing, but our core values and principles, they remain constant. When was the last time you went to your mother and spoke to her about your day? When was the last time
You empathize with people out there. Being human is given, but keeping your humanity is a choice. Technology has annexed over our family time, a time which gives us more joy than any rom-com or sitcom out there. A time which brings out a lot of discussions on various topics starting from your childhood to your academics. But we have all the power in the world to do what we want. And for the sake of humanity, we shall be the change and we shall propagate it. And it's never too late to change. Starting with him.
Social distancing is a must, but not for the heart.
Whatever happened in the lockdown does not define who we are as humans. We will not let a mere disease change our relationships, our communication methods, or our humanity.
Thank you very much for your presentation. We now invite the students of PSBB KK Nagar to give their student presentation. Over to you, students.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, I'm Dhriti Iyer.
This is Anand Srinivasan.
And I'm Akshay Anand.
Nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to learn. On that note, we thank TGAL for such an amazing opportunity to showcase our talents despite the obstacles standing our way. Life after Corona, how's it going to be? Entirely during the lockdown, we have been away from our friends, relatives, but virtually connected. Staying inside, we stuck to virtual modes, talking to our friends and communicating very less with who's actually living with us. Realizing all of this, we as a team wanted to portray the importance of communication and humanity in our lives. The three of us had a brainstorming session on how it might be after the pandemic ends. We lay our plot on one person who is being both productive and unproductive. The world might change, but does the relationship between you and your mom become any different? We spend countless hours on social media drooling over the happy lives all the celebrities display having, whilst we could talk to our family and actually have fun.
The main difficulty we had was not being able to meet each other while filming. While we were writing the script, we each painted different visions of what every scene looked like, and the challenge was to include everyone's point of view in the film. We made the decision to edit as soon as we finished shooting scenes to clear up any confusion about the sequence of shots. The first few rough versions we made portrayed exactly what we wanted the audience to see and feel, and that motivated us to keep going.
Watching this film, we hope that our audience drop their gadgets whenever they're free, sit with their loved ones, play games, talk about experiences, their childhoods, and various memories, and start to do so frequently. We hope that family time becomes a mandatory activity at least once a week. With this film, we hope to bring out two messages. Firstly, the pandemic doesn't define who we are as humans or affect our humanity. Secondly, about how important it is to communicate in real life and not get carried away by the virtual world we are entering into. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Over to you, judges.
So I really like the idea of passionate speaking, almost like hip hop rapping, almost you guys were doing. That was kind of nice. I like that. I really like that. Do you guys have access to B-roll and download stuff from the internet? Do you know how to do that?
Yes, we do know, we did know, but due to the lockdown, we couldn't meet each other. We couldn't coordinate what all
Right.
B-roll shots we would need to take.
Because normally when, one of the things about propaganda, which is to give a message, right? Is that you kind of show, and then you can also show just with B-roll, like footage from people miserable, then people happy. There's a, and sometimes you don't, there's a whole thesis in filmmaking called show, don't tell. Sometimes you don't need to say it, you can just see it, right? And I liked it a lot. Production quality was a little low for me, but otherwise the content was very strong. Right.
Thank you.
Right. I think I'll have to give it on the content. I really like the content. I mean, technically, it could have been a little better. Like at certain places, I couldn't really hear what the character was saying, especially the rooftop scene. And it's only when the character starts coming closer to the camera is when I could hear the audio. But I also realized that towards the end of the film, the last girl who gives a message, you've subtitled that part. So I think you could have also tried and subtitled the part which was being spoken on the rooftop, because that is where the clarity was needed.
Yes,
But
sir. Yes.
I think I agree with Raja on this, that the content was pretty nice. The execution could have been slightly better, but great effort overall, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, PSBV KK Nagar, for your presentation. Our next team, which is coming up to present, is Delhi Public Schools Sector 45, Gurgaon. Over to you, DPS Sector 45, Gurgaon.
This really isn't the same.
Hey, Tapasmi, I miss you.
I miss you too. I'm so tired of this lockdown already. These online parties don't feel like the real thing at all. Meet Tapasmi. Extroverted, loves to party. She's never seen without her friends next to her. Anyways, how you been?
Guess what happened today? I baked some brownies and I painted something for you.
Meet Adi. He's the exact opposite. Introverted, avoids social interaction if he can help it, and gaming is the bane of his existence.
The deadly effects of the virus plague every headline. But there are ways it has transformed our personalities without us even realizing it. For those of us who thrived on socialization, solitude bears heavy on our shoulders.
And for those of us who loved solitude in the first place, also grew wary of it, as the charm of being alone faded with each passing day. Life after Corona will probably be similar to how life was before it. Will everything go back to normal? Will empty hallways fill up again? Will airports start bustling with eager tourists? Will we celebrate our festivals the way we used to? Probably.
But the scars of the pandemic will not fade. Inevitably, every casual touch will feel more deliberate. The hyper-awareness of contamination that our mind has been conditioned into prioritizing will translate into how we interact with each other. But the most drastic change in life after Corona will be the one in ourselves. We've spent months in no one's company but our own. We've ached to see our friends. But the lockdown has taught us to appreciate our own company, and we've discovered that contentment can be found even at home.
And for those of us who were too reliant on solitude, the time spent away from our friends helped us appreciate them, the little things we took for granted.
So, to conclude, will life after Corona be the same? More or less. But will we remain the same? Probably not. And perhaps that itself is the beauty of isolation.
Thank you so much, DPS, for your film. I now invite the students to make their presentation.
Hello, my name is Tapasvi.
My name is Adi.
Hi, and I'm Pranav.
Coming up with a theme was a bit of a challenge. How do you capture life after Corona while you're living a life during Corona? This made us analyze how the same quarantine experience could have different yet positive effects on everyone. When we come out of this pandemic, we'll hopefully come out a little wiser, with a greater appreciation of the things we hold dear to us. That's the sentiment we tried to capture with our two characters, displaying a contrast between finding love for both solitude and socialization.
Another important theme we wanted to cover was that of increased awareness of sanitation. We wanted to stress that even after the pandemic is over, it's important that we are conscious of our health and sanitation. Tapasmi and I played two characters, which was fun because they're like exaggerated versions of ourselves. And it gave me an excuse to play video games, and who can complain about that?
From a technical point of view, the challenge was to accurately display the differences between the two lifestyles without making the video feel abrupt. While I was editing, I had to make sure that the contrast was visible and while still being seamlessly being displayed. We wanted the video to have an impactful but a fun tone. So we choose the music accordingly.
Making the video gave us an insight into ourselves. We wanted to convey that regardless of how we were before the isolation, what we become afterwards is is a function of how we manage ourselves through it. And this isolation gives us a chance to step out of our comfort zones and try something different.
It was a lot of fun to make that movie.
And working as a team definitely brought the three of us closer together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your presentation. Over to you, judges.
I really enjoyed that because I have a 13-year-old and I feel the pain. It was beautiful, and and it was great because it was personal. It was an essay. It was not preachy. It was just life for two people. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. But the music was a bit loud, but otherwise it was great.
Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you.
I think I enjoyed the film too, and I kind of like how profound you were trying to be in the end when you said that's the beauty of isolation. So I like that message towards the end, and again, the music, like Raja said, was a little overpowering at times. I think certain things can be said if said in the right way, even without music, they can create an effect. Even though music is something that does bring out the emotion in most scenes,
Yeah.
but we can always try to sort of balance the music and the spoken word. And I like the camera work. I like how you started with close-ups of the makeup, and you didn't reveal the entire character at first. I like how you reveal the characters, both the characters. And I think where you can do a little better is the editing, where you're matching two shots, matching of actions. So the particular scene where the boy is receiving a phone call, so in the long shot, in the wide shot, you see that he's already picked up the phone, whereas in the close up, the phone's all still lying on the bed. So when you go back to the edit table, try matching like the shots and the actions, and it'll just be sharper. But I think a great fun watch, and I think I'm glad that you guys had fun making it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
One last comment is that when you use music, you could have done music to match each of the personalities and switched between them, so that would have given us now we go to Arti, now we go to, it's like it's a switching mechanism. Music, lighting, everything can be a switching mechanism.
And that's what will bring out a deeper contrast between the two personalities.
Exactly. Very good. Good try.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, judges, for your views, and thank you so much, DPS, for your presentation. We now have our next team, which is Strawberry Fields High School, Chandigarh.
Life after COVID-19 at this point is just like a dream that's taking forever to come true. But maybe we can look at the half-glass full side. If we talk about pollution, researchers in New York showed carbon monoxide emissions from cars to have reduced by nearly 50% compared with last year. In China, studies show that the crisis temporarily cut carbon dioxide emissions by 25%. Since there will always be a strong enough concentration of gases in the atmosphere, the time spent in quarantine will have helped in reducing and balancing the gases concentrations. If we talk about unemployment, studies estimate that more than 25 million jobs have been threatened due to the spread of the virus globally. However, this has not been the case in all the countries. Some countries suggest subsidies to be given to people for their non-billable hours. Probably post-COVID-19, the situation will resemble that of the Black Death, another deadly pandemic, in which the occurrence of the economic boom resulted in the significant reduction of unemployment rates. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted religion in various ways, including the cancellation of the worship services of various faiths, the closure of Sunday schools, etc. Furthermore, the people who discriminate against other religions probably had no reason to, since they were not affiliated with them during the pandemic. Post-COVID-19, the situation is most likely to arise again, and thus, the so-called diversity in countries will fail to flourish yet again. Reversal of brain drain is another significant movement that has been carrying on during the crisis. Since the crisis began, people started to return to their homes and carry out their advanced jobs with the available resources. Due to this return, the less developed countries started to regain their gifted individuals back, and they also started to develop better facilities. Maybe post-COVID-19, it may lead to people staying close to their loved ones and improve the reputation of their homelands.
From the depletion of public commute to the change in our lifestyles, it is inevitable for coronavirus to make significant changes. Like the Spanish flu spread far and wide via trade routes, the coronavirus spread through the trade routes of today, international flight paths. Soon, we may be seeing thermal imaging cameras in any social or business hubs like offices or malls. Economically speaking, COVID-19 was sent straight from the fiery depths of hell, with people like Jeff Bezos generating over $13 billion in 24 hours and Mukesh Ambani getting richer than ever, while literal millions lose their jobs, puts into perspective the true horror and extent of the pay gap prevalent in economies. The saying, the rich keep getting richer and the poor get poorer, has never been more relevant than today. Although it has been said that the coronavirus has plunged the world into a crisis like no other, it does expect global growth to rise 5.8% next year if the pandemic fades in the second half of 2020. That's driven primarily by growth in countries such as India and China. Alongside this, the coronavirus has been nothing but a boon for companies like Apple and Amazon, whose stock exploded, with Apple's value increasing by around $700 billion in the past 21 weeks. So we can confidently say, all hope is surely not lost. There will be many significant changes in education. Courses will be designed in a way that can be learned from the comforts of one's home. We have already seen learning consortiums and coalitions taking shape, coming together to utilize digital platforms as a temporary solution to the crisis. However, in emerging countries where education has predominantly been provided by the government, this could become a prevalent and potentially common trend for future education. Classes will be empty. Countries have already begun working on the same. The Indian School of Business has already started designing courses which are made to be taught online, pandemic or not. Maybe in the coming years we'll be wearing a headset at our graduation. Nations worldwide will change their views on disease and redefine their nation's priorities. More attention will be given to pandemic preparation, something which was not being done earlier, and GDP distribution might change with larger cuts going into healthcare. Another immediate effect after the coronavirus will be a massive boom into the healthcare industry, with people's changed views on what is a small matter or a big matter might change completely. China, the country that made everyday objects synonymous with the ever-famous Made in China sticker, who became the world's factory due to its strong business ecosystem, faced an unprecedented global backlash that could destabilize its reign as the factory of the world. This may result in an economic boom in India, with commercial giants like Apple coming here to make and assemble their products. sustainable homes will start becoming more and more popular and might start playing a larger role in our everyday life. After staying at home for so long, people truly realize the importance of living in a place that is self sustainable, a place that can readily provide a considerable amount of resources without much external assistance or products. For the exact same reason, so will Amazon delivery grow immensely, as it already has been. Streaming services like Netflix, Prime Video, and Hotstar have had millions of more members, with Netflix getting 16 million new subscribers in the first 3 months of 2020 alone. Seems like everyone really is bored during the lockdown, with these streaming services as their only companions. All in all, COVID 19 has made a significant impact on all aspects of our world: social, political, religious, economic, and ecological, some of which were positive, some not so much. There is not much we can say for sure for life post COVID 19. However, one thing's for certain: it really has taught us how to wash our hands.
Good afternoon. When introduced with the topic of life after coronavirus, initially our team didn't have much success around the topic since all of us had spent so much time quarantined and in lockdown. Life without COVID 19 seemed like a different life altogether. However, life after coronavirus would definitely be different than it was before. We started by analyzing the different sectors of life on our planet, which included economic, religious, political, medical, environmental, and educational factors as well. We decided that instead of looking up other people's views on the internet, we would get a far
Just a
better
second. Somebody's audio is playing some background track. Can they turn it off, the audio, please? Yeah, go ahead.
We decided that instead of looking up other people's views on the internet, we would get a far better insight if we looked into real life events and used logic to deduce how this pandemic would affect life for everyone, billionaires and beggars alike. We were able to do this in many ways. As for all of us, family had become a far larger part of our lives and believed that this would be the same for most.
Therefore, reversal of brain drain is a viable theory for what might happen after COVID. Also, by seeing and reading about places in the world being cleaner than ever and knowing that the factories are shut down, we deduced that this pandemic would have a significant impact on the ecology of the entire planet. We also felt that just talking about the positive impacts of the virus was wrong, as this pandemic coin has two communities and how it has furthered the gap between the rich and the poor are extremely significant results from this virus.
We ourselves are now attending online school, as are millions in the world. This live example was the perfect way to describe how this pandemic has furthered the technological revolution and has pushed so much activity online, with schools within the Tri-City itself designing courses specifically for web-based
Apologies for
education
the
and
interruption.
competitions like Reel to Reel itself happening on online platforms. We use such examples to talk about changes the
I'm
pandemic
so
has
sorry
caused
for the
and likely
interruption,
will.
but
Could
your
we please
time is
continue because we were interrupted in the middle? Can we just have 10 seconds?
Okay, only
up.
10 seconds, Aditya, and then please wrap up. Your time is up.
All right. We also felt that to truly understand the impact of the coronavirus, it was imperative we looked into pandemics of a similar, unprecedented scale, like the Spanish flu and the Black Death. And analyzing the aftermath of these diseases enabled us to picture how coronavirus could shape the coming years.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Aditya.
I
Thank you
make
so
a
much.
lot of YouTube videos and viral videos, right? And large good following, and we do all kinds of video stuff. And we find that the average attention span for information tends to be between 3 and 4 minutes. All right. Now, that means that once I get beyond the 4 minute mark, I begin to blur, right? And what happens is that if I'm overloaded with content, I really thought the essay was very good. If I read it in an article, if I thought about it, brilliantly written, well analyzed, you can see your brain's working, you know and I think that you have to be very careful with filmmaking and podcasting and storytelling, because if you are telling a story, pauses, breaks, showing, not telling all the time, these are key ingredients to good filmmaking or good storytelling, right? Because the audience needs a pause to just take a break. I was like, bam, hit me. It was, so I liked it, I enjoyed it, I thought it was really intelligent, but you lost me at about 3 minutes. All right. And so this is my only criticism, is that next time you guys do it, don't try and squash in so much content. Break it up into parts, give pauses, give changes. And remember, in filmmaking, there's a 3-part story structure you must try and follow. There's a beginning, a curve, and then an end. You got to take people on that journey with you. All right.
Yeah, I
So
think I'll pretty much I'll wrap this quickly because I think Raja's said pretty much everything that I wanted to say to you. There was absolutely no breather for me. Like it was an overload of information. While I appreciate how intelligent your research was, but I didn't get enough time to absorb all of it because there was things from healthcare to the GDP to environment, climate change. Like educate that there was just too much for me to absorb. And what you could also do, in fact, as feedback for next time when you're talking about multiple things, try and give music breaks. Make it different sections. Like healthcare, one section, end of music. So what I could hear was a carpet music. What I say, like you start a music at the start of the film, and then it keeps on going on till the end. So try breaking sections with different kinds and feels of music. So that will also act as a breather for me, for your
And
audience
two,
rather.
two other points I want to make, if you don't mind, Udit. One is
Please.
that you can lose about 40% of your content. Okay. You can cut it down by 40%, literally,
Easy.
right?
Easy.
And break it up into pauses. Secondly, is that if you only use B-roll, I can't score you for cinematography. All right.
Right.
So you again lost points for no cinematography, right? So
Right.
that part of it loses you points. That means that even if you shot a balcony or a shot from your Gurgaon or Chandigarh apartment or Gurgaon apartment, wherever you are, it's little, there was no cinematography at all. So I thought it was a great informative video, overwhelming, but edited well. But man, just slow down, guys. Your minds are too fast, you know? Yeah, super
Thank you so
brains in
much.
action. Bloody hell, man. Slow it
Thank you
down. Slow
very
it down.
much. Thank you.
Breathe. No response. No
Thank you.
response. No response.
I
Thank
oh, all right.
Thank you, Strawberry Fields, for your presentation. I now invite the next school for their presentation. Springdale School, Dholakua, New Delhi.
A new virus has been discovered that has pandemic potential, according to Chinese science.
भारत में लॉकडाउन को अब
No,
3 मई तक
no.
और
Oh,
बढ़ाना
come on.
पड़ेगा।
जिंदगी हमें किस मोड़ पे ले आई है? किसको लगा होगा कि एक बीमारी पूरी दुनिया को बदल डालेगी? अजीब लगता है ये बोलते हुए, पर याद है वो समय जब बच्चे स्कूल जाया करते थे, खूब मस्ती और पढ़ाई करके खुशी खुशी घर लौट आया करते थे। अब तो ये भी स्क्रीन पे होता है।
कभी सोचा न था चौक डस्टर छोड़कर ऑनलाइन पढ़ाऊंगी, उन मुस्कुराते बच्चों से इतना दूर हो जाऊंगी, लेकिन पढ़ाने का मजा नहीं आता।
एक समय था जब मम्मी फोन वगैरह सब छोड़कर बाहर जाने को या पढ़ने को बोलती थी, अब तो वो भी कुछ नहीं बोलती। एक समय था जब हम हर रोज दोस्तों से मिलने का प्लान बनाते थे, और अब तो बात करने के लिए कुछ बचा ही नहीं है। कोरोना वायरस ने इंसानों को एक दूसरे से क्या, खुद से ही दूर कर दिया है। वायरस ने हमें ये तो सिखाया कि खुद को वक्त देना कितना महत्वपूर्ण है, कि इंसान की पहली ज़रूरत वो खुद है। कोरोना वायरस की वजह से कितने मासूमों का रोजगार चला गया है। क्या यही इंसानियत कि ज़रूरत के वक्त जब सबकी ज़िंदगी उछड़ रही हो, हम एक दूसरे के लिए खड़े ना हो पाए? इस दुनिया में ऐसा कोई व्यक्ति नहीं है जो कल होने वाली चीज़ें पहले ही जान सके। पर ज़िंदगी की यही आश्चर्य देने वाली मुश्किलें हमें और मजबूत बनाती हैं। मुश्किलें और दुख तो सबकी ज़िंदगी में आती हैं, मगर कोरोना से हुआ दर्द पहले किसी ने महसूस नहीं करा। कहते हैं कि जो हमसे प्यार करते हैं वह कभी हमारा साथ नहीं छोड़ते, पर ये बात कि हम उन्हें कभी दोबारा देख ना पाएँ, उनकी आवाज़ कभी सुन ना पाएँ, एक ऐसा दर्द है जिसका सामना किसी को नहीं करना पड़ना चाहिए। मगर कोरोना ने इस दर्द का एहसास कईयों को दिलाया। ये बात तो सच है कि हर मुसीबत का कोई अच्छा सार होता है, परंतु इस बीमारी का समाधान तो शायद भगवान भी ना दे पाए।
कहते हैं भगवान हर जगह नहीं हो सकता, इसलिए वो माँ बनाता है। और मुझे अपनी माँ में भगवान दिखता था। मेरा भगवान क्यों रूठ गया? क्यों तेरा हाथ मेरे हाथ से छूट गया?
इस महामारी ने मनुष्य के बीच कोई भेदभाव नहीं करा है, सबको ही घुटने टिका दिया। चाहे वो स्कूल में पढ़ता बच्चा हो, नौकरी करता हुआ युवक हो, मेहनती अध्यापिका हो या माँ से बिछड़ी बेटी, सबको मुश्किलें और दर्द का एहसास हुआ है। पर हमें याद रखना है कि अगर हम बिना डरे डटकर अपने लक्ष्य की ओर चलते रहें तो हमारी सफलता कोई छीन नहीं सकता। हमें बार बार दिल को ये याद दिलाना है कि चाहे सारे जहां में अंधेरा क्यों ना हो, ये याद रखना है कि रात के बाद ही तो सवेरा होता है।
Thank you so much, students, for your film. Are you ready for the student presentation?
Yes, ma'am. The pandemic has confined us all to the four walls of our homes. We truly understood the importance of what we once took for granted: freedom. The lockdown introduced us to a new lifestyle that we were completely unaware of. With everyone sitting on their couch at home in lockdown, mindlessly staring at statistics being displayed on the news, we wanted to be the ones who could remove these curtains, tear down this wall, and give the audience a backstage pass with the world they are in right now.
As far as the preparation and planning of the movie is concerned, it was made keeping in mind the current scenario with regards to the COVID-19 pandemic. It all started with a lot of disagreement and argument over multiple Zoom calls, till we finally reached a consensus on what we wanted our movie to portray.
It was maddening to reach a middle ground as a team, with all our ideas being vastly different from each other. Needless to say, there were a lot of arguments, disagreements, and shouting. Everything you need to make a classic soap opera. From our editor's eye bleeding on the final day of editing to his laptop malfunctioning, we had it all. And of course, the struggle of coordinating everything amidst a pandemic where we could only communicate through virtual platforms. Working in these unusual circumstances with some such limitations was truly a task, but we learned a valuable lesson every step of the way.
The movie was developed with the intention of it being a cautionary tale to those who seem to be unfazed by the possible consequences of their negligence. The film is made as a window into various circumstances people may find themselves dwelling in amidst the pandemic. It showcases the current world through the eyes of an unemployed man, a teacher, a school going boy, and a grieving daughter, highlighting their plight and fears.
The movie is a message to those underestimating the prowess of the virus, showing how deadly the virus is and how devastating the pandemic has been to many. It asks for people to be empathetic to one another in these trying times, but most importantly, to be patient and to not lose hope. For this too shall pass.
Thank you so much. Over to you, judges.
Udit?
Hi, am I audible? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I like how you sort of took different characters and different stories, like that ailing character, this one character who's lost his job, this one student who's now sitting at home and bored. Somehow I wanted to see a little more about them. I wanted it to be a little more personal. I wanted to get into their lives a little more, and I think the music sort of made it very monotonous for me. Like, you've used, I think, about one piece of music throughout the film, So music sound is very important to create emotional highs, emotional lows, take me from one scene to the other, take me from a before and after perspective. I think so. Music could have you could have definitely played with more music pieces to sort of bring out more emotions, and it became slightly monotonous with one music track playing throughout. Raja, what were your observations?
Yeah, I mean, this time I'm going to disagree with you, Udit, because I really enjoyed this one.
Mm-hmm.
I like the ominous, depressive quality of the music. I did enjoy that. I was completely depressed by the end of it, but I was hopeful. But it was good, it was good. And I think that yes, there could have been a little variation in the tone and things like that. I thought the acting, both of you acted in it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought the acting was superb. Well done. To be both producers and actors, you've got a good career ahead of you. It's like, okay. I really felt the depression. I really felt the anxiety. I felt it. It was good. And yeah, I mean, again, technically, it could have been little things here and there, as Udit said. Correct, I agree. But I thought that conceptually, it was a very good essay. To do it in Hindi really brought it home, and I really enjoyed it. I'm very good. Well done.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Springtails. We now move to our next team, which is Scottish High International School, Gurgaon.
Life. It was, it is, and it will be. Before, during, and after Corona. But one significant thing that Corona has cost us is freedom. Freedom to work, freedom to earn, freedom to live with dignity and pride.
क्या करूँ, काम धाम नहीं है, हमारा कैसा चलेगा? अभी तो मदद करने वाला है, पहले 20,000 कर ली थी काम, अब 5,000 का ही काम है, इसमें कैसा चलेगा?
तो आप गांव क्यों नहीं वापस गए?
गांव जाऊंगी तो कैसा जाऊंगी? बीच में बच्चा का परीक्षा पड़ा है, इसलिए गांव जाना पड़ेगा।
अच्छा, तो कैसे यहाँ पर कैसे चला रहे हो आप?
वो पहला का जो काम करी थी उसमें थोड़ा पैसा जमी थी, वही खा रही हो। अगर आगे से बच्चे का परीक्षा नहीं होगा तो हमें जाना ही पड़ेगा।
Freedom to do business, freedom to decide our business path, freedom to move.
एक तो वैसे ही 95% बिजनेस खत्म हो गया है, डिमांड बिल्कुल जीरो हो गई है। जो सामान 2 दिन में डिलीवर हो जाता था, अब 30 दिन में भी डिलीवर नहीं हो पा रहा है। 70% वर्कर्स काम पर नहीं आ रहे और पता नहीं आएंगे भी या नहीं।
Freedom to socialize, freedom to study.
मोबाइल पे पढ़ाई करना बहुत मुश्किल है, पता नहीं स्कूल कब खुलेंगे।
COVID-19 has paradoxically unmasked a new social system, wherein every single norm of social interaction has been changed. Namaste is the new hello, and hugs are pass. Use of sanitizers, face shields, and gloves and manned thermal scanning is the norm in public events and at community or institutional entrance and exit points.
जैसे ये स्टैंड लगा हुआ है, जो भी ले जाता है उनका सैनिटाइजर कराते हैं, इसके बाद डिस्टेंस बाय डिस्टेंस उनका एंट्री कराते हैं, टेम्परेचर नाप उनको अंदर जाने देते हैं।
A visit to the local dentist now feels like a scene out of a science fiction movie. All patient care protocols have undergone a massive change.
There is no denying that Corona has brought about worldwide disruptive changes in economic, social, and environmental domains.
These changes are no less than a humanitarian revolution, one that is inclusive in its impact across strata, nationalities, and gender. With more than 20 million lives impacted, it is time that everyone practices self-discipline and solidarity to protect those who are the most vulnerable.
Hello, I am Dr. Heman Verma. I am a dentist, and post-COVID we have seen patients only on appointment basis. Complete PPE kits for the patients and the staff are a mandate, and the clinical paraphernalia has undergone a massive change. We have installed high-volume suction plants with negative air pressure, UV light disinfection, HEPA filters, and all SOPs are being strictly followed.
हम लोग फूड बैन अप्लाई करते हैं और हम लोग अभी कोविड-19 के बाद स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं थोड़ा केयरफुली, तो हम लोग सैनिटाइज के साथ और केयरफुल रहते हैं सब लोग, सीट में मास्क लगा के एंड ग्लव पहन के, हेलमेट पहन के एंड फेस शील्ड लगा के हम लोग वर्क कर रहे हैं।
आज खाने में क्या है मम्मा?
दाल चावल, तो कभी खिचड़ी। आज तो मैं खाना ही नहीं खाना।
लाखों मजदूर हैं जिनके पास न खाने के लिए रोटी है और न रहने के लिए जगह।
Work from home, coupled with the lack of house help, has increased the sales of gadgets like dishwashers and vacuum cleaners. Local businesses such as handicrafts and DIY puja kits are being preferred over foreign goods. This is slowly paving the path towards Atmanirbharta, with key activities like hobby classes as well as school education happening online. Dependence on gadgets like smartphones has increased. Grocery is now ordered over phone, and digital is becoming the preferred mode of payment. Resilience has given birth to innovation. Local tailors have shifted to sewing masks to capitalize the opportunity. Restaurants have adopted measures like using QR code based menus, special serving platters, and extra food pickup and drop table to maintain social distancing and minimal contact operations. As people around the world adapt to a new normal, let us shun past mistakes.
आजकल सोशल गैदरिंग्स में लिमिटेड लोगों के होने की वजह से खाने की वेस्टेज में और पोल्यूशन में कमी आई है और ट्रैफिक में भी बहुत राहत मिली है.
Of all the lessons we've learned from Corona, perhaps the most important one is to create an equal, inclusive, and sustainable world. A world of promise, a world of freedom.
Thank you so much, Scottish High, for the film. Students, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am. Can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Good afternoon, judges. We are the team from Scottish High International School, and today we will talk about our movie, Life After Corona.
The concept of our movie is inspired from the current situation we are facing around us. We witnessed how people from all sections of society are being affected by the coronavirus. But to gain actual awareness, we wanted to examine the current situation by asking the people themselves, by examining the current situation from the grassroots level.
We started the preparation of our movie by preparing two scripts. One was focused on the consumers, manufacturers, and retailers of a product, and the other covered many wider aspects focused on the theme freedom, such as businessmen, employees, migrant laborers, and workers.
So we chose the script portraying a wider aspect as it suited our concept mode. And then we started shooting the scenes in line with all the safety precautions. And after the shooting process finished, we began with the editing process, which involved refining the movie, removing and adding some scenes, and also providing finishing touches.
The major challenge that we were facing in the making of our film was actually in the shooting process. Because of the changing lockdown restrictions and the varying levels of health precautions we had to take, the shooting process became very elongated, and all the scenes had to be shot on separate occasions without any physical contact.
We hope that our movie gives the audience an understanding of the effect of the pandemic on different sections of society apart from themselves, such as businessmen, employees, students, and migrant laborers, and also helps them understand the new normal in line with the changing ways of life.
So the message that we want to convey through our movie is that change is the law of life. And in these tough times, we must find some positive ways to improve our life and adapt to the changing landscape of this world as a result of this pandemic for the sake of our good health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, students. Judges, over to you.
Udit?
I kind of enjoyed this one, where it was refreshing to see that you guys actually went out and spoke to real people, had real interviews, real scenarios. That's what I really liked, and this was closest to documentary filmmaking that I've seen here today. And apart from that one scenario, which I think was recreated, where the retailer says that 70% business come ho gaya, that was, I think, enacted and not a real scenario. But it would have been fantastic if that was also like a real person talking about a real problem. So that's something that I really liked in your film. Being really close to documentaries, I think always hearing a problem from a real person's mouth rather than being spoken in a voiceover creates a different impact, which it created on me. Especially the migrant, the labor woman that we were talking about in the right at the beginning, the first woman who gave the interview. So I like how you created like a different, emotional graph with the kind of music that you were switching in between. So that worked for me. And I also appreciate how you shot pretty much everything and not relied a lot on stock footage, but you went out there. I hope you guys kept all safety measures, but I like that you went out and shot, like you used the camera to shoot the film. I really like that.
Yes, so we took all the safety precautions.
Yeah.
Raja, over to you, please.
No, I think that, I'm a documentary filmmaker, and it was great to see a documentary. So, I mean, this is great, because a documentary, you see, in documentary, we say that if it's all narrator, then it's called the voice of God. And if it is characters and characters, then it is interviews. If it is experts, then it is expert opinion. So normally in a good documentary, that is fly on the wall, you've got characters and you got people you're interviewing who are experts, and the voice of God is only used to explain little things, right, to bring things together, to weave it together. And we do call it the voice of God. It literally is the voice of God, and because it's like a disembodied voice telling you about something, like Morgan Freeman, that kind of thing. So what was really nice about this was that you let others and actors tell the story, and that was very good. I thought that the music could have varied a little bit in the first 2/3, and then it picked up in the last third, so that was good, thank God. But yeah, and the editing, a few glitches here and there, but I thought overall, well done.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So much. Thank you, Scottish High, for your presentation. We now move to our next school, which is Delhi Public School, Jaipur. Thank you very much for the film. Students, are we ready with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
So, ma'am, should I start?
Yes, it'll be great if your internet allows, if you can switch on your camera.
Ma'am, I have actually.
Thank you very much.
Yes. When we first got to know about the topic, life after Corona, the first thought that struck us was that we would avoid showing businesses being shut down, daily wage workers stuck away from their homes, hospitals piling up with the patients, the death numbers increasing day by day. The darker side of the pandemic has been covered extensively by the media. Now we focused on emphasizing on the brighter side. We realized that the increasing number of deaths due to the virus is bad enough already, but the increasing cases of depression due to the loss of loved ones or due to the financial crisis has to be stopped. The spread of the virus is inevitable, but we still have a chance to prevent the other lives from sinking into such a deep misery. This is the only way to safeguard the good mental health and ultimately the entire well being of the people. It is by spreading hope that we can make progress in the sustainable development goal, good health, and well being, even in the tough times.
Now, coming to the technical part, we had quite amazing experiences and even faced a few challenges. We worked on Microsoft Movies Maker for this project and also improvised ourselves as movie makers. Yes, we did got stuck in the beginning, but the experience of discussing and rectifying them, especially virtually, was amazing for us. Someone has rightly said that we learn from our mistakes. One major problem that we faced that was that how would we shoot the movie, and then we decided to make a movie with a picture of our surroundings. Teamwork played a vital role in this whole scene.
This lockdown indeed had been a boon for the lost greenery and wildlife that has an opportunity to revive itself now. We found time to spend with our family members, which otherwise would have been a part of our busy life. This lockdown made us realize the moral ethics that we are not the only form of life on this planet and we had
Sorry to interrupt.
exploited.
The time is up for your presentation. Thank you so much.
Who composed the music?
And actually, sir, actually, it was taken from the internet.
Oh, it was. I thought it was made by, because I saw the keyboard. I thought somebody had made it. Okay. The difficulty for me as a filmmaker or a storyteller is that it was difficult to judge you because there was no cinematography. There was no filmmaking. There was no video. There was only, it was just a PowerPoint slideshow. And as a filmmaker, that always bugs me, because it means that we didn't do better. Even if you had used B-roll and then your own photographs and combined them together, that effort was not there. So I was a little disappointed in that. I thought the music was nice. I thought the storytelling was good. I liked the text written. That was a good touch. But because it became just a elaborate PowerPoint show, I was not, as a filmmaker, I was not blown away, right? And so I suggest the next time you work on this or when you redo this, is get a camera, mobile phone, download footage from the internet, do stuff. You use stock footage of photos right there, just panning and stuff, and just be more creative. That's all. Sorry, Udit.
I think I would agree to everything that you've said here. I don't have any new perspective on this because this did look like a photo slideshow and not a film. While I really like the content, I really like the idea that you've strung everything together with hope. That's one point that you've sort of picked and you've tried to string it through the entire film. I like that. In fact, I like the music also. But I think it's
I did
as
like the
simple
music.
as just picking up your mobile phone, your parents' mobile phone, and just the sequence where you were playing chess. You had photographs of a chess playing sequence, spending time with family. That could have. While I understand it's difficult to go out in the pandemic and shoot, but choti choti cheezein, small things that we can do amongst our family itself with a mobile phone camera at home. So we should try and make that effort, that extra effort next time.
And
But
you know, Udit and I spend hundreds of hours in edit suites all the time, right? We know how long it took you to make that, and it
yeah,
felt a bit lazy. That's all, you know. And we know, you know, you can't, you know, we have an old saying, you can't teach your grandmother how to suck eggs, you know. So like, you know, but that is an old idea. You know, you can't pull it over our eyes. We know what you did and how you made it. You did it on a weekend together and sat there and just put it together, and it was good. But it was you had so much creativity, you guys. Come on, man. You know. I tell you one thing I wanted to say, Suchi, if you don't mind, before you carry on to the next one, is that nobody has painted a future story about what will happen after the pandemic,
so we're
you know,
pretty
which was what the title was. That what happens. Okay, I get it, all the psychological, all the stuff, but what is the science fiction scenario coming? What is the madness coming? What is the new world that's coming? You know, I please, some of you, try and think about that next time you make films, you know. Paint a picture.
We saw some of the Stranger Thing music coming in. That's why we thought it might come. But yeah, we're looking forward to
Yeah,
this.
we got a couple of sci-fi music pieces, I get it.
Yes.
But we didn't go to a twilight zone of a new future coming and sci-fi, you know, like, you know, what nobody talked about chips being put into people. Nobody talked about data. Nobody talked about arogya being a control mechanism. Nobody talked about, you know, all these things that are coming, and all of you know you're thinking about it, right? As science fiction buffs, as movie watchers, you know that's coming, right? China is fully going digital now, going to put chips into people soon. You know, Elon Musk has become the second richest man in the world, because he's come up with Neuralink and space. And, you know, this world is going to change. Come on, where is the stories about the change that's coming? Guys. All right, sorry,
You're
Suchi.
you're actually very right. When we had sent out this topic and this theme, we had thought that that's what will come in. We thought we'll get some sci-fi, and you know, we'll get these
Just
crazy
future.
wild ideas, and we'll have, you know, maybe it will be life after Corona will be on Mars or something like that. But
we still have a
there's
couple
no
of
Corona on Mars. Let's move there. But yeah, I think our kids have taken a more cautious route. Let's put it that way. But let's see what's coming up. We still have a
Well,
couple
you
of
know,
more.
all
You
I
you
can say
might
to
be
you
pleasantly
is the fearless always win. At the end.
let's
Move on to our
and
let's move on to our next school. So I invite Springdale School, Pusa Road, New Delhi, to present their film.
We are today at the junction of truly peculiar times. The COVID-19 lockdown has rendered the world to a pause. A new world is taking shape. A new normal is established. The abruptness of the pandemic was certainly astounding. But as the sand settles, humanity looks towards finding a novel way of life. Life has changed, but only to protect us, our family, and our community. In the absence of schools, children find amusement at home. Education is virtual. Literacy has shifted to online education to find normalcy. During these challenging times, we must not forget to sanitize our belongings, practice social distancing, and stay safely at home. Commercial shopping has now shifted to the virtual world as well. As we yearn to connect, weddings, parties, and online gatherings have become close knit events. We must remember to thank the real heroes during such times, the frontline workers, the corona warriors. Sometimes we have to accept things for the way they are. We must adapt and we must move on.
Thank you very much for your film. Students, are you ready with your presentation?
Right. So even before we knew what we were getting ourselves into, we were already very cognizant of what we wanted this movie to be about. We wanted it to be an ever-evolving entity of conversation. It was meant to be a piece where people could look at it and see a reflection of their own way of life. There was even a point of contention at some point during the program where we felt that at the end of the day, we were trying to portray a list into a character arc for a visual piece. So in and of itself, the movie initially stood on fragile grounds, but that was premeditated to preserve the raw authenticity of experience. It was meant to be a forum of discussion and nothing more than a ponderance towards the future. We didn't want to push a narrative to this visual piece. We just wanted a film we saw as our very own aina. We wanted to maintain the idea of documentation of our way of life and see how it has evolved and will continue to evolve into a futuristic vision as well. Our message here was never meant to be a message of just visual depiction. It was always meant to be a programmed project, a document of reliability that could essentially bring people together because of their shared experiences and become a seedling in this network of solidarity, becoming a proponent for partnership for goals, the SDG that we have wished to uphold ourselves and this program.
We please
Quarantine.
request
Your audio, somebody's audio is playing.
mute yourselves.
Quarantine as a period of self isolation hasn't been easy in terms of routine, but it doesn't have to be that way. All we have to do is change our mindset and start working towards the particular skill set we want to adapt. Talking about the technical aspects of the film, we've tried to keep the footage of the film as real and authentic as possible. Rather than taking pictures and clips from the internet, we've tried to shoot as many shots as possible. Talking about the background music, we have placed a particular soundtrack according to the beat and pace of the movie.
The basic idea that we had kept in mind while filming and editing the movie was to keep it as simple and realistic as possible because we wanted the audience to find a direct connect with the movie, a reflection of their very own lives and the changes this pandemic has brought upon our lifestyles. The software used for editing the video is Sony Vegas, and for the audio, we used the Voice Recorder Pro
Sorry
application.
for the
The
interruption.
movie
Your
was not
time.
expertly made.
Hi, sorry for
Thank
the
you.
interruption. Your time is up. Thank you very much for your presentation. Judges, over to you.
I think where what Gitansh, right? What Gitansh said that they didn't follow a particular narrative. I think that's where you sort of went a little wrong with this because, like Raja always says, that it has to be a three-part structure: a beginning, a middle, and an end. And the middle can be a curve. It can be a curve this way, or it can be a curve this way. Like there has to be a moment where you tell me a story, you take me to a emotional high or a intellectual high, and then you bring me down to a crescendo, and you sort of ended on a bang, and that's what creates an impact. So I think for me, the lack of narrative didn't really work in this. While you say that you try to put an everyday perspective, but then as a viewer, there was nothing new, there was nothing fresh for me in this film. Like, I think by now everybody knows we're supposed to sanitize our hands, how we're supposed to maintain social distance, and all of those things. But then there was nothing new, there was nothing fresh for me in this. What do you say, Raja?
Yeah, I think that it was cheerful and narrative of today, and it was nice. It was good effort. I think that yes, weakness in story, weakness in curve, right? So when you sit down with these kind of things, you always write a script structure first and then a script. Even if it is just saying we will have show this year, and then you storyboard it, which is that we'll show this here, we'll show that there. This is what this sentence should look like. You map it out. Then you start filming and editing to see what fits into that story. The music was cheerful, so the story should have been cheerful. It was like a catch-22. I was like looking forward to all kind of everybody singing hooray at the end and running into the future, but that didn't happen. Like post-COVID. Again, I go back to that point that I made earlier, which is that you guys were so caught up with the psychology of what you're going through that you missed the opportunity to imagine a new future. You really missed an opportunity. So I don't feel bad for you. I just feel that it's a missed opportunity. That's all, to tell a good story. So think about it, guys, and then go make a new film and send it to us again. All right,
Yeah,
thank you.
make another one.
We'll watch
Thank you,
it.
sir.
We
Thank
will
you
watch
so
it.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Springdales, for your presentation. I now invite the next school, which is the Shri Ram School, Aravali, New Delhi.
Hey, Sid, you can't go to the park.
Why?
कोरोना करके लॉकडाउन हो गया.
लॉकडाउन क्या होता है? लॉकडाउन का मतलब होता है गवर्नमेंट ने ऑर्डर्स निकाले हुए हैं कि कोविड की वजह से सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग रखनी है, तो सबको घर में रहना
तो करने को है नहीं, क्या करूं? Do something productive, stay home. यार, this is so boring, man.
तो पापा ने बोला लॉकडाउन स्टार्ट हो गया, क्या करें?
सिद्धांत, सिद्धांत,
हाँ जी.
इसको छोड़ो and do the dusting.
Why?
I don't know. Maid is not coming. Help me out. Come on, do the dusting. चलो चलो.
अच्छा ठीक है. Okay. क्या करूं? इतना बोरियत हो रहा है. ये तो पहला दिन ही है लॉकडाउन का, और क्या कर सकता हूँ. काफी दिन हो गए, ताज़ा नहीं हो रहा. यही ट्राई करेंगे.
क्या कर रहा है सुभाष?
मैं अभी ना वो मेरी my first short film. I was just editing that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Great.
Actually, I realized कि ये चीज इतने टाइम से करने का मन था, but घूम फिर के करने का मौका seriously लॉकडाउन में मिला. I mean, I think we all really needed this.
Productive use of your time.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, no, okay. No.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
God.
I got this.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna win. One. Come on. 6!
कपड़ा काफी गंदा दिख रहा है. You know what? आज कमरा साफ करूँगा.
ये देखो बन गया खाना. ये This is my first food. मैं पहली बार बनाया है. And this is छोले चावल. तो खा के देखना. You know, I just realized कि लॉकडाउन इतना भी बुरा नहीं है. मतलब मैंने खाना बनाना सीख लिया. बहुत बढ़िया हो गया है. तो
यार खेलने जाना है.
नीचे जाना है यार।
इनका 6 बज गया। जो कर सकता था दिमाग में वो सब मैंने कर लिया। अब क्या करूं? बाहर जाना तो अलाउड नहीं है।
यार सुबह से 6 घंटे हो गए हैं, सारा टाइम ही ऑनलाइन क्लासेस यार। सर दर्द तो नहीं लग जाता है बुरी तरह। मैं तंग आ गया हूँ यार अब लॉकडाउन से, बस खत्म हो यार ये।
Thank you very much. Students, are you ready to present?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Please go ahead.
Namaste, esteemed judges and fellow participants. What we wanted to portray by this film was what we personally learned by this in this lockdown, and some of the skills and strengths which we discovered this time, which we thought lacked and we didn't know about earlier. So we have picked up incidents from this lockdown and then displayed this very message so that we could revive similar incidents which you might have had in the past or can have in the future.
While we were preparing for the film, we had various discussions on what elements we want to add in the film because we wanted to make it as relatable to the audience as possible. Now, the main factor for our planning was basically observation skills. We made sure that we observed our surroundings to our core so that we can add that to the film so that it looks more realistic. We wanted the film to look a little personal towards us. That's why we made sure that we acted in the film as well. Now, the main difficulties that we faced was basically because of lockdown, we couldn't meet each other. So we had to be our own directors. We had to trust our own instincts on the sound, the location, which might have been difficult for us at the start, but was beneficial because it kind of taught us independency in itself.
Yes, that was correctly said. And to talk about the impact, I think for everyone, the impact would be different. But I remember when we watched the film as an audience, I remember all three of us were moved by the positivity and the hope that it generated because we showed some scenes that had that. And also, I think another thing that we all realized was that we've taken nature, sanitation, personal hygiene, personal space, all of these things for granted, which we shouldn't have taken for granted because they're very, very important. And I think we've learned to respect all of that. So this is the message and the impact that the film has had on us. So this is the message we'd like to, leave for the society. So yes, thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you very much, students. Over to you, judges.
I like the ending, that last 30 seconds, 1 minute, where the music started and we came out, and it was good. It was a good ending. The beginning was a bit all over the place, but it was good. I'm a great fan of comedies, and you started, I thought you were going to be a comedy. I was really excited that suddenly I was going to see a Rishikesh Mukherjee, type of film, if you get a chance to get the oldies, you should watch Rishikesh Mukherjee and see Khatta Meeta or go, one of those films, and this felt like Khatta Meeta, that felt like Ranjit Chaudhary dreaming and other people dreaming. And, it was like it was a nice moment of family drama and comedy that was about to happen, but did not happen. Almost, and I liked it. I thought you were on the verge of something and pushed a little harder, you would have got there, and so good effort.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Even I thought this was going to be a comedy because when one of the characters is asked to start dusting, and as soon as you see the shots, you increase the speed there. That's where I thought you're going to accompany it with like some funny music in the background, but that's what I found missing. So those different scenarios could have had different music which would have depicted their mood. While I loved how you showed the contrast between how one person saw it as an opportunity to do something while the other one kept staring out of the window and sulking. I like the contrast, how you intercut between different characters. And like Raja said, just a little more and you would have been there.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, judges, for your views. We now have the last team for today. So can I invite Delhi Public School Sushant Lok to please present?
Naman, wake up. It's time for your classes.
हमें आने जाने में बहुत समय लगता है और बहुत थक भी जाते हैं कि वो ट्रेन छूटी जा रही थी आप इतना स्पीड में जिसकी वजह से छात्रों पर पढ़ाई का दबाव हो गया है। धन्यवाद।
Dear Naman, we sent your application and we are happy to inform you that you have been selected for the internship. Your first assignment is to film a documentary on the topic given below.
Yes! Naman, did you wash your hands?
Yeah, right. I'll just do that.
So, how's school going?
Fine. Also. Oh, I got selected for this internship I applied for. My first task is to film a documentary on the topic, the economic gap between the rich and the poor.
Oh, nice! So what are you going to do?
I don't know, but I'll figure it out. तुम लोग बातें करते रहो और मैं यहाँ पर बर्तन धो रहा हूँ. Even the RW has banned the maids from working in the apartments now. Hi, I'm Naman, and I want to be a part of this internship program because I want to help change the world. When we think of the gap between the rich and the poor, we can now see the world's greatest economical problem hitting us through this pandemic. With over 210 countries affected by the coronavirus and 17.6 million cases. However, in India, over 57% of India's population is more affected by cash crunch and starvation, especially the economically challenged. So let's understand their side.
मेरा नाम अशोक है। मैं एक गार्ड की नौकरी करता हूँ। मेरे परिवार में मेरी माँ और पत्नी और 2 बच्चे हैं। इस लॉकडाउन में मेरे बच्चे स्कूल नहीं जा पा रहे हैं। उनकी पढ़ाई बंद हो गई है और ना ही उन्हें दोपहर का भोजन मिल रहा है। जो उन्हें सिर्फ स्कूल में मिलता था, मेरी तनख्वाह पगार कम हो गई है और मुझे और ज्यादा काम करना पड़ता है। ये मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल समय रहा है।
अरे भैया, क्या बताऊँ यार, मुझे गार्ड वाला आने देता है, कभी नहीं आने देता है। उनका तो कोई फिस्ट ही नहीं है यार। मैं 8 घर में काम करती थी, अब मुझे अभी 4 घर में काम कर रही हूँ, तो पैसा तो मिल ही नहीं रही। अब मैं क्या कर सकती हूँ? और से मुझे मकान मालिक आके मुझे पैसा मांगती है, मेरा किराया मांग रहा है, मैं कैसे पैसा दूँ? मैं बोल रही हूँ किराया कम ले लो, नहीं ले रहा है। मैं कैसे बताऊँ भाई यार, क्या करूँ?
While talking to these people and looking around, I realized how many things I take for granted. How many things we all take for granted. I started off telling you how I wanted this internship since I wanted to change the world. But change starts with yourself. And now I realize that what we should truly start with is the feeling of gratitude. We are all so focused on what we don't have and what could be, that we don't even think about the things we have. And as life moves on, we have a new thing to complain about. We leave behind progress. We were so angry about our new normal that we never thought about the people whose lives are completely affected by this, taken a turn, perhaps for the worse. The people who lost jobs, don't have food, water, or any basic resources, let alone the access to internet and online education. I want this internship so I can make a change, not only in the world, but in myself in every little way. This pandemic has taught me that I have some things in life that other people don't, and I want to share these things with whoever I can, however I can, and to the best of my abilities. I hope that one day I can spread the same access, knowledge, and privileges we have to everyone. And until then, I will keep working to make myself better and spreading that joy as much as possible. Because those who cannot change themselves for the better cannot change anything.
Thank you very much, school, for the film. We now request the students to make their presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Today we would like to talk about our movie, Sarva Seva, Be the Change. This movie is based on the life of a regular high school teenager who is offered an internship by the organization Sarva Seva and portrays how this internship changed his life. We didn't really need any extra thinking when it came to the idea of this movie. In fact, everything happening around us was inspiration enough. We all have noticed how this pandemic has affected various lives, some more than others. So the idea of this film revolves around the changes occurring during this pandemic and its impact on people of various economic backgrounds.
So after we came up with this idea, I prepared the first draft and then along with Ananya, the script was finalized. We had to take into account that all these scenes had to be shot safely since this was during the pandemic, so we had to tweak the script. After finalizing it, we conducted auditions and found Naman through a social media platform. Shooting during COVID was a big challenge as we were not able to meet in person due to the lockdown. Thus, our parents were a big help. However, since they had busy schedules and the movie required many different scenes, this became a long and drawn out process. Hence, there was little time left for editing. This speed was very chaotic for us as we had to find a new editor since our original editor was unable to continue with us. Thanks to Aryan who came at the last minute and our movie came together as we envisioned it to be.
So the theme of the movie is gratitude and charity, and we hope that the audience is also left with the same message. Our main motive was to make people understand that not everybody has the luxuries that we have, and doing a good deed never does anyone harm. So we should be grateful for the things we have and value and respect them. Furthermore, we should use these resources to try and make a difference and do what we can to the best of our abilities.
Thank you so much, students. Over to you, judges.
Dino, this is a good application to TGELF.
Yes, absolutely. Remember, Raja, it is part of TGELF.
Yeah, it's a good application for a future internship at TGELF. I liked it. From a storytelling point of view, it's a lot of no-nos, but it was put together well, because you started as a comedy, then you went into, pitching your idea as an internship, then you went into documentary, and interviews, and it was interesting mix of things. I enjoyed it. I thought it was clever. I thought it was intelligent. I thought it was very future looking as to what you can do. First one that did it, Talia, and so I'm going to give you points for content and for creativity. Cinematography had its ups and downs, right? The editing was good. The music was a bit tedious, but otherwise, I liked it. Good. Well done.
I think with this one, I completely agree with Raja. I love the creativity. I love the idea. This was a mix of a lot of things going on for me because it started off as fiction, then it became documentary, and then it was a mix of different things. In terms of storytelling, I didn't have a clear sort of idea of what you were trying to say, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I liked how you used stock. I liked how you shot footage. You had interviews. You had fictional scenes. The scene between the mother and the son, and it's the same character sort of playing. I mean, I think that's being as jugadu as we can be. Like you don't have characters to play roles. Hell, you play the same. The same person plays different characters. So I really like that. And
I like that. I did like that.
I really like that. So
I thought it was very creatively done. Very creatively done. You know,
Yeah.
with a little technical improvement, this can go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Good. Well done.
Those small things, that light bulb lighting up, the comedy
Yeah,
music,
that was
and
very clever. That the little
you got a lot
touches,
of
they
different
were very
things.
clever.
You got a lot
So,
of
I
different
have to
things
leave
going
in
on.
about 5 minutes. So, if we can, if you don't mind, I will, what would you like to do next, Dinu?
No, thank you, Raja. Udit, carry on, complete. You were in the middle of something, so please complete what you were saying.
I was just ending it on the note that there were a lot of clever things, just like Raja said, in fact, which I really appreciate. And so there was a lot of creativity in this film. There were many different elements of a lot of different ways of filmmaking, using graphics, using sounds, using stock footage, using short footage, comedy music, serious emotional music. So this film sort of had it in different bits, and it had it kind of, all.
Okay,
Very
lovely.
good.
Thank you. We at least the last movie kind of gave some saving grace to what to the others that were there. But I think all of them were very very different, and a lot of effort that has been gone in by these young people.
That was
So
brilliant.
Raja, any last pearls of wisdom? I know you're very short on time. You have another commitment, and we deeply appreciate that you
No,
made the
no, my
time.
pleasure. My pleasure.
So,
Uh,
any last bit of pearls of wisdom that you would want to leave, and we will wrap up our today's competition.
so, first and foremost, that a filmmaker is a storyteller, right? So, go study storytelling, study structures of essay writing, how to tell a story, three-part structures, acts, how to do it. Study about story, number one, right? You can always get a good cinematographer, you can always get a good editor, but if the story is not there, nothing works, right? So you got to tell a good story, number one. Number two, show don't tell. you know there was some beautiful cinematography that just didn't need words. You could just show and you get it. Sunrise over the big buildings of Gurgaon, the city, the little snail on the wall. There were so many moments that I could pick out that I didn't need any words. I felt the loneliness, I felt the sorrow, I felt the happiness. That is very important in filmmaking. Is if it can't be shown, then filmmaking, what's the use of filmmaking? It's like it's a moving medium. You want to see it, it's a visual medium. Then you add words, right? Number two, right? And number three, only third point I have is that if you plan your structure, your story, your craft, everything in advance, then you can satisfy all your technical needs later and it comes together nicely. So always storyboard it, plan it, think it through, and then make a film. Because if you see Udit and I, the way we work, we spend a year or two on a film before we get to the actual filming or editing. Researching, scripting, what are we going to say, who are we going to interview, what is it going to look like, what camera should we use, what kind of filter should we use, what season, what month should we film in. All these things play a role in this, right? So don't underestimate planning, writing, preparation, thinking as important as filming and editing. you know that was what I thought was the only weak link for all of you. Everything else I thought technically good stuff, storytelling good stuff, music good stuff. We had lots of good stuff. So I'm very pleased that but by the way, I've been doing this now how many years? 5
I don't know.
years,
I've lost count, Raja.
6 7 years, and the quality has definitely got better. So hallelujah.
No,
I'm impressed.
thanks to the feedback that you keep giving, and thanks to
Well,
that.
it's very well done. And so I'm just going to fill in the scores on my sheet and then submit it. Udit, nice to see you again. And well done, guys. And thank you for everything, Dinu. And have a great time. And good luck, whoever wins today. Good luck.
Thank you. We are not going to announce the results today. They'll have to wait till Sunday afternoon
All
when we
right.
have closing ceremony. That's when the awards and the announcements will be done. But before we end, Udit, any last words from you?
I'm
And
going to leave you guys. Thank you, Udit. Bye.
thank you, Raja. Udit,
I
any
think
last words, any pearls of wisdom you want to leave them with?
I think I'll pick up from where Raja sort of left. What we oversee a lot of time during filmmaking is pre-production, our planning, scripting, structuring. I think that's the most important part, because if you plan well, you'll automatically shoot and edit well. Like there will be hiccups, there'll be problems during editing. Editors will walk out of films, cameras will stop working during shoots, laptops will crash during renders. It happens to the best of us. It happens with me as well. But if you keep your pre-production strong, if you keep your script and your story strong, the technical aspects can be taken care of, and all of you will only get better from here. And everything that Raja and I said here is not criticism, but feedback for all of you to become better filmmakers tomorrow.
Absolutely. Udit, any experience, any little bit of, something that has happened in your work career, profession you would like to share? Maybe a funny incident or a challenge that comes to you and you'd like to share with everybody?
I think the challenge currently that we're all facing, at least in my industry, is how to go back to shooting like we used to. We started with social distancing, we came on to PPE kits, and eventually a lot of people are falling sick, a lot of people are catching COVID, a lot of people are staying at home and not going out on shoots. So we're still sort of figuring out how life after Corona is going to be for us filmmakers. But I mean, nothing really funny here to talk about, but it's a battle. It's still an ongoing struggle, and we're all figuring out new ways of sort of doing this every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything from your past work experience at Bollywood, Hollywood, something
uh,
that little
I think
little
I think
masala
where
that
I've
I'm
sort
sure
of
these
found
kids will be happy. Yeah.
where I've sort of found my footing right now is documentaries. I used to work. I was working back in Bombay with Bollywood filmmakers. I was assisting directors, and I've started directing TV documentaries now myself for History, Nat Geo, and Discovery. And I realized that I was more close to documentary filmmaking rather than fictional stories, because as entertaining as that content seemed to me, it felt like a chewing gum. So as long as you chew it, you get a flavor, and after a point of time, it just tastes bad, so you spit it out. That's how I would see a lot of fictional filmmaking as. I wouldn't call all fiction filmmaking as chewing gum. But personally, I think I've found my footing in documentaries because I like stories and I like stories of real people. So, which sort of makes my inclination, towards real stories, real people, real experiences. And it could be about people, places, buildings, structures, cities. The story could be anything. But as long as it's real for me, it works.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think the take back at the end of the day is that if you're wanting to impact and reach out, there has to be a solid story. You have to be telling a story. And it's the story that kind of grips the audience and engages the audience. And if, it can be technically very, very smart and slick with all kinds of, gadgets and softwares that are available today. But at the end of the day, the body without the heart really doesn't work, and the heart is where the story is, and I think that's the take back
Very rightly put.
from today. So thank you so much, Udit, for giving us the time. I know how deeply pressed you are and working till very, very into the wee hours of the morning, day after day. So
Yeah.
thank you so much,
We
and
wrapped
thank
up,
you.
we wrapped up about 2:30 a.m. today, and that's why I woke up just in time for this event, and I was like, okay, let's get dressed. So,
Thank
but
you, thank you
thank you
so
for
much.
having me
Yes.
here.
Not at all. Our pleasure and our privilege to have you here. And
Thanks.
thank you
I'll
to
just
all
quickly
our
say too.
students and our teachers and all the competitors. Thank you for all the hard work that you all have put in, especially during the challenges of Corona, working individually from your homes. And I'm sure you all have had a lot of technical glitches that have come your way. I'm sure our judges have really, really enjoyed looking at the pieces that you've made. But we'll keep the suspense going. Remember, picture abhi baki hai. You will get to know only on Sunday afternoon. So join us back Sunday afternoon, 4:30 to 5:30 to get to know where you are. All right. Bye bye. Take care and stay safe. Thank you again, Udit.